All right, let's jump into this.
Okay.
You want the lowdown on Dryden Gold,
Yeah.
a company listed as DRY on the TSX Venture Exchange.
Right.
The big question is, are they sitting on the next red lake?
That's the question everyone wants to know.
And just as important for you, what could that mean for long-term investors?
That's the golden question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a great collection of sources here to help us answer that.
Okay, great.
We've got company news releases.
Wow.
We've got a detailed technical report
Okay.
and even information about their recent financing partnership
Okay.
with Centerra Gold, a major player in the mining industry.
Perfect. So we'll sift through the geological data,
Okay.
compare historical production to Dryden's own drill results,
All right.
and break down what David Erfle, a respected mining analyst, looks for when evaluating these companies.
Good plan.
Hopefully by the end you'll have a much better understanding of Dryden Gold's potential
Absolutely.
and be able to make some informed decisions.
So,
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Dryden Gold is exploring in northwestern Ontario,
right.
specifically the Dryden district.
Uh-huh.
This area has a history of gold mining, but it hasn't seen much modern exploration.
Right. Dryden's land package spans a massive 48,445 hectares
Wow.
across three key areas:
Okay.
Gold Rock Camp, Lower Manitou, and the Tremblay area.
Okay.
It's a huge area, bigger than some countries,
Yeah.
and they're focusing their efforts along a 50-kilometer stretch of what geologists call the Manitou-Norwick Deformation Zone.
Okay, hold on. A deformation zone. For
Yeah.
those of us who aren't geologists,
Sure.
what does that actually mean?
So think of it as a giant crack in the Earth's crust.
Okay.
These zones are often associated with intense geological activity, which creates pathways for mineral-rich fluids to flow through.
Uh-huh.
And in this case, those fluids seem to have deposited a lot of gold.
So this deformation zone is like a roadmap to where the gold might be.
Exactly. And the Gold Rock Camp in particular has a history of producing some seriously high-grade gold.
Okay.
We're talking about historical mines like the Big Master Laurentian and Elora mines,
Right.
which sometimes yielded over 14 grams of gold per ton of rock.
Wow.
That's incredible when you consider that many operating gold mines today.
Yeah.
Average just 1 or 2 grams per ton.
Wow, that puts it into perspective.
Yeah,
So historically speaking, this area has been a real hotspot for gold.
for sure.
But what about Dryden's own exploration?
Yeah.
Have they found anything comparable to those historic grades?
That's a great question, and it's really key to understanding whether they can live up to that Red Lake comparison.
Right.
They're still in the early stages of exploration,
Uh,
but their recent drilling has returned some very encouraging results.
can you give us some specifics?
Yeah.
I'm sure our listeners eager to hear about those encouraging results.
Absolutely. One of the most eye-catching intercepts
Yeah.
came from the Ken West Patents property back in 2011. They hit 1,055 grams of gold per ton, over 0.8 meters.
Okay.
To put that into perspective, that's over 30 ounces of gold per ton of rock.
Okay, that's a huge number.
It is.
But I remember from our critique
Yeah.
that it's not just about individual intercepts.
Right.
It's about the overall consistency
Yeah.
and what it tells us about the potential of the project.
Right.
What's the bigger picture here?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
While that 1,055 gram intercept is impressive,
Yeah.
it's important to look at the overall pattern of their drilling.
Okay.
And what we see is consistent gold mineralization
Uh-huh.
across their various properties,
Okay.
including Ken West Patents, the Elora structure,
Right.
and the Laurentian mine area.
Okay.
This suggests that there could be a large interconnected gold system at play here.
So while the individual intercepts vary,
Yeah.
the fact that they're finding gold consistently
Uh-huh.
across such a large area is a very positive sign.
Exactly. It's like they're connecting the dots.
Right.
And the picture that's emerging is very promising.
That makes sense. Now, before we get too carried away with the excitement of potential,
Sure.
let's bring in David Erfle's criteria for evaluating junior mining companies.
Okay.
I remember reading that he looks at management experience,
Yeah.
jurisdiction,
Mm-hmm.
exploration potential, and financial strength.
He does. Those are all crucial factors to consider
Right.
when assessing any junior mining company.
Okay.
And I think Dryden stacks up pretty well against those criteria.
Okay, let's start with management.
Okay?
What can you tell us about the team at Dryden Gold?
Sure.
Are they experienced in this kind of exploration and development?
Their management team and board of directors have a strong track record in the mining industry, with experience in property acquisition, exploration success,
Mhm.
and even mergers and acquisitions.
Wow.
This means they have the know-how
Yeah.
to not only find gold,
Right.
but also to potentially develop a mine
Okay.
and navigate the complexities of the market.
So they're not just geologists, they're
Uh-huh.
business people too.
They are.
That's reassuring.
Yep.
What about the jurisdiction?
Okay.
How does Ontario rank in terms of mining?
Ontario is known for being a mining-friendly jurisdiction.
Okay.
It has a long history of gold production
Right.
and a well-established regulatory framework,
Right.
which makes it attractive to investors.
Okay.
This reduces uncertainty
Ah.
and provides a stable environment for companies like Dryden to operate in.
Excellent. We've touched on exploration potential
Yeah.
and some of the exciting drill results.
Right.
But could you elaborate a bit on the specific geological formations that make this area so promising?
The technical report goes into detail about the geological formations
Okay.
that are often associated with gold mineralization in this region.
Uh-huh.
Dryden is focusing on areas with sheared and altered mafic volcanic units
Okay.
and chlorite schist,
Right.
which are rock types known to host gold deposits.
Okay, for those of us who don't speak geology,
Yeah.
could you break that down a bit?
Yeah.
What are those rock types and why are they so important for finding gold?
Imagine molten rock or magma pushing its way up through the Earth's crust.
Okay.
When it cools and solidifies, it forms what are called mafic volcanic rocks.
Right.
Over millions of years, these rocks can be subjected to intense heat and pressure,
Yeah.
causing them to change and alter.
Okay.
This process often creates cracks and fissures,
Right.
which are perfect pathways for mineral-rich fluids to flow through.
So these altered volcanic rocks are like sponges, soaking up gold from the surrounding fluids.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And chlorite schist is a type of metamorphic rock
Right.
that forms from these altered volcanic rocks.
Uh-huh.
It's often a good indicator of past hydrothermal activity,
Okay.
which is essential for gold deposition.
Okay, so Dryden is targeting these specific rock types.
Right.
Because they're more likely to hold gold.
Exactly.
What about the link to ancient volcanic activity?
Okay.
How does that tie into the picture?
Well, during periods of intense volcanic activity,
Mm-hmm.
hot mineral-rich fluids circulate through the Earth's crust.
Right.
As these fluids cool down, they can deposit minerals, including gold,
Yeah.
in those cracks and fissures we talked about earlier.
So ancient volcanoes were like giant gold delivery systems.
Yeah,
Potentially creating widespread gold deposits.
you got it.
Okay.
And if Dryden's theory about what's called stratigraphically controlled mineralization is correct,
That's right.
it means that there could be extensive layers of gold-rich rock
Yeah.
related to these ancient volcanic events.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It suggests that they're not just looking for small veins of gold, but potentially vast layered deposits.
Exactly. That's what makes this story so compelling.
Right.
It could be on the verge of unlocking a major gold system.
Okay, before we go any further down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
let's bring it back to David Erfley's criteria. We've covered management experience, jurisdiction,
Right.
and exploration potential. What about financial strength? How well funded is Dryden to carry out this ambitious exploration program?
They seem to be in a good position financially.
Yeah.
They've had several successful capital raises recently,
Right.
including a strategic investment from Centerra Gold
Okay.
in December 2024,
Uh-huh.
where Centerra took a 9.9% stake in the company.
Wow.
That's a major vote of confidence from a big player in the mining industry.
It definitely suggests that Centerra sees potential in Dryden's projects.
Right.
What does that partnership mean for Dryden going forward?
Well, it gives Dryden access to not only funding, but also Centerra's considerable technical expertise.
Okay.
This could be invaluable as they move forward with exploration
Yeah.
and potentially development.
So it's a win-win for both companies.
It seems so.
Yeah.
And beyond the Centerra deal,
Okay.
they've raised additional funds through private placements.
Okay.
They also have over $2 million in cash
All right.
to cover a final property payment to Alamos Gold,
Okay.
another major gold company,
Uh-huh.
and to continue their marketing efforts.
Okay.
So they appear to be well-funded for the foreseeable future.
That's good news.
Yeah.
It sounds like they have the financial resources
Right.
to execute their exploration plans.
It seems so.
Now, what about the share structure?
Okay.
That's something that David Erfley also emphasizes.
Right. Understanding a company's share structure is important for investors.
Yeah.
Because it can give you a sense of how the company is managed.
Right.
And how potential gains might be distributed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have those specifics from our current sources.
Right.
But it's definitely something you would want to research further.
Right.
Before making any investment decisions.
Okay, so we'll add that to our list of things to investigate.
Good plan.
Now, I know we've already touched on some of Dryden's drill results.
Yeah.
But let's delve a little deeper into those. Sure. Can you walk us through some specific examples?
Sure.
And explain what they tell us about the potential of each project?
Absolutely. Let's start with the Ken West Patents property.
Okay.
Remember that impressive intercept of 1,055 grams per ton over 0.8 meters from 2011?
How could I forget? That was a real head turner.
It was.
Yeah.
But there were other notable intercepts from that same program as well.
Okay.
For example, they hit 8.4 grams per ton over 6.5 meters.
Okay.
And 11.9 grams per ton over 2.5 meters.
Right.
All within a zone they've labeled as BM Tag 2.
Okay, so even though those grades are lower than the 1,055,
right,
they're still significant.
Yeah.
Especially considering the wider widths.
Mm-hmm.
What are these BM zones exactly?
Wait, think of them like different rooms in a house,
Okay.
each with its own unique characteristics.
Right.
These zones represent areas within the property where they found consistent gold mineralization.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to visualize what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to distinguish between these results from 2011
right.
and Dryden's more recent drilling.
Uh-huh.
The 2011 program was conducted by a previous operator.
Correct.
And while the results are encouraging, Dryden is using more modern techniques and technology to refine their understanding of these zones. So we should take those older results with a grain of salt.
Not necessarily. They provide valuable context
Yeah.
and demonstrate the historical potential of the property.
Okay.
But it's Dryden's more recent drilling that will ultimately determine whether those historical intercepts can be expanded upon and connected to a larger system.
That makes sense. Now, what about the other properties?
Okay.
Like the Laurentian mine and the Elora structure.
Right.
What have they found there?
Well, both the Laurentian mine and the Elora structure have a history of high-grade gold production.
Okay.
And Dryden's recent drilling has confirmed that potential.
Can you give us some examples? I'm sure our listener is eager to hear about the latest discoveries.
Of course. At the Laurentian mine, they recently intersected 15.2 grams per ton over 4.0 meters.
Okay.
And at the Elora structure, they hit 7.3 meters, grading 4.6 grams per ton.
Okay, so those are solid intercepts.
They are.
Are there any standout historical results from those areas that we should be aware of?
Absolutely. At the Laurentian mine, a historical drill hole intersected 15.4 grams per ton over 6.1 meters.
Wow.
And at the Elora structure, a 1998 drill program by previous operators hit 14.04 grams per ton over 4.35 meters.
Wow, those are some impressive grades.
They are.
But you mentioned earlier that we should be cautious about comparing historical results to modern drilling.
Right.
Why is that?
It's important to remember that those historical drill programs may have used different methods and reporting standards than what's required today.
So we can't necessarily compare apples to apples.
Exactly. However, the historical data still provides valuable context. And helps to demonstrate the long-standing potential of these areas.
All right, so we've got a good overview of the historical and recent drill results.
Yes.
What's the next step?
Okay.
What are Dryden's plans for 2024 and beyond?
They've outlined some ambitious plans for 2024, which include deeper drilling at the Elora structure and testing new targets at the Laurentian mine and the D1 cross structures. They're also going to explore targets at Mud Lake, conduct property-wide soil testing, and continue work at other areas like Heinemann Cross River and Sheridan.
It sounds like they're really going for it.
They are.
But before we dive into the details of their exploration plans, let's take a quick pause.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll explore those plans in more detail.
All right.
And discuss how they might impact the company's future.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. Welcome back.
We've been digging into Dryden Gold, examining their quest to unearth a major gold deposit in northwestern Ontario.
That's right.
We've covered their impressive land package, promising drill results, and a track record that aligns with several of David Erfel's key criteria for investing in junior mining companies.
Right.
And we touched on the idea that Dryden could be sitting on something.
Yeah.
Much bigger than just a few isolated veins of gold.
Exactly.
Exactly. This idea of stratigraphically controlled mineralization,
Uh-huh.
potentially linked to ancient volcanic activity,
Right.
really caught my attention.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
It suggests that they could be exploring a vast, layered gold system.
It's a compelling theory.
Yeah.
And it's something that sets Dryden apart from many other junior miners.
Right.
They're not just chasing random gold showings. They're systematically exploring a geological model that could lead to a major discovery.
Okay, so let's unpack this theory a bit further.
Okay.
How does this idea of ancient volcanic activity tie into gold formation?
Think back to millions of years ago when this region was volcanically active.
Okay.
Imagine hot, mineral-rich fluids circulating through the Earth's crust, driven by the heat of volcanic activity.
Right.
As these fluids cooled and interacted with the surrounding rocks, they deposited minerals, including gold.
So these ancient volcanoes were like giant hydrothermal systems.
Exactly.
Pumping gold-bearing fluids through the rocks.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And if Dryden is right about stratigraphically controlled mineralization, those fluids deposited gold not just in isolated veins, but across entire layers of rock.
Okay.
These layers could extend for kilometers, creating a vast gold system.
So the potential scale here is enormous.
It could be.
Yeah.
And that's why Dryden's deeper drilling program is so crucial.
Okay.
They're trying to intersect those gold-rich layers at depth and prove their theory.
So they're not just drilling to confirm the historical high-grade intercepts. They're drilling to test a much bigger idea.
Exactly. They're trying to connect the dots and see if those individual intercepts are part of a much larger interconnected gold system.
Okay. So how do they go about proving this theory? What kind of exploration techniques are they using?
They're using a combination of modern exploration methods, including deeper drilling, geological mapping, geochemical sampling, and high-resolution airborne magnetic surveys.
I remember from our previous deep dives that airborne magnetic surveys are like X-ray vision for rocks.
That's right.
Can you remind us how those work?
Sure. These surveys involve flying an aircraft equipped with sensitive instruments that measure variations in the Earth's magnetic field. Different rock types have different magnetic properties. So these surveys can help geologists map out the underlying geology and identify areas that might be prospective for gold.
So these surveys are like a roadmap, guiding Dryden to the most promising areas.
That's a good way to think about it. And they're using this data in conjunction with other information, such as historical drilling results, surface mapping, and geochemical sampling to build a comprehensive picture of the geology.
It sounds like they're really leaving no stone unturned
in
their exploration efforts.
That's important because exploration is inherently risky. You need to be systematic and thorough to increase your chances of success.
Now, we've talked a lot about the technical aspects of Dryden's exploration, but I want to bring it back to our listeners' main question. Is Dryden Gold sitting on the next Red Lake?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And while it's still early days for Dryden, there are some intriguing similarities between the two.
Okay, I'm all ears.
All right.
What are some of the key parallels that make this comparison so interesting?
Well, both Red Lake and the Dryden area are located in northwestern Ontario.
For a region known for its rich gold endowment.
So they're both in the right neighborhood, so to speak.
Exactly. And both areas are characterized by ancient volcanic rocks that have been subjected to multiple periods of deformation and hydrothermal activity. This has created complex geological structures that are favorable for gold depositions.
So the geological setting is similar.
It is. Both Red Lake and Dryden have a history of high-grade gold discoveries. We've already talked about some of the impressive intercepts from Dryden's drilling. And Red Lake is famous for its world-class gold mines. Some have been operating for decades and have produced millions of ounces of gold.
So there's a precedent for finding significant amounts of gold in both areas.
Exactly. And the fact that Dryden is seeing similar grades and geological features to those found in Red Lake is certainly encouraging.
It's starting to sound like a compelling story.
But what are some of the key differences between Red Lake and Dryden's projects?
Well, Red Lake has been explored and mined for almost a century.
Okay.
So there's a wealth of data and experience to draw from.
Right.
Dryden is still in the early stages of its exploration program.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot more ground to cover.
Yeah.
And a lot more work to be done to fully understand the potential of their projects.
So it's like comparing a seasoned veteran to a promising rookie.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Red Lake is the established champion.
Right.
While Dryden is the up-and-comer with the potential to become a contender.
Okay, so there's a lot of potential.
Yes.
But it's still too early to say
Right.
whether Dryden will achieve the same level of success as Red Lake.
That's true.
But the possibility is certainly there.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this story so exciting for investors.
It is.
All right, let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about what this all means for investors who are considering buying and holding shares in Dryden Gold over the long term.
Right.
What are some of the key factors that could drive the company's success?
Okay.
And potentially lead to significant returns for investors?
Well, the most obvious driver is continued exploration success.
Okay.
If Dryden can consistently deliver positive drill results and expand on their existing discoveries, it will increase the perceived value of their projects.
So the more gold they find, the more valuable the company becomes.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And if they can demonstrate that they have a multi-million-ounce gold deposit, it could potentially transform Dryden from a junior explorer into a mid-tier or even a major gold producer.
And that would likely translate into significant gains.
It could.
For early investors who bought and held the stock.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this is a hypothetical scenario.
Right.
There are many factors that could influence the company's future success, including the price of gold, the overall investment climate.
Right. It's a risky business.
It is.
Yeah.
But for investors who are comfortable with the risks, the potential rewards in the junior mining sector can be substantial.
Absolutely. Now, we talked earlier about David Erfel's criteria.
Yeah.
For evaluating junior mining companies. We covered management jurisdiction, exploration potential, and financial strength.
Yep.
Are there any other factors he considers important?
There are a couple
that we haven't touched on yet.
Erfel emphasizes the importance of insider ownership.
Okay.
And news flow.
Right.
Insider ownership refers to the percentage of the company's shares held by management and directors.
Right, so it's a measure of how much skin in the game they have.
Exactly.
Okay.
A high level of insider ownership suggests that management is aligned with the interests of shareholders and invested in the company's long-term success.
That makes sense.
Yes.
It's reassuring to know that they're not just looking for a quick profit, but that they're in it for the long haul.
Exactly. What about news flow?
News flow refers to the frequency and quality of information that the company releases to the market.
Right.
Ursula looks for companies that provide regular substantive updates on their exploration activities.
Okay.
Financial results.
Yeah.
And corporate development.
So it's about transparency and keeping investors informed.
Exactly. And from what we've seen, Dryden seems to be doing a good job on this front.
Okay.
They've been putting out news releases on a regular basis, highlighting their progress and key milestones.
Okay, so they're checking that box as well.
They are.
It sounds like they're ticking all the right boxes so far.
They are.
But it's important to remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
That's true. There are no guarantees.
Right.
But based on what we've learned so far,
yeah,
Dryden Gold certainly has a lot of things working in its favor.
I agree. It's an intriguing story.
And I'm eager to see how it unfolds.
Me too.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to dive a little deeper into some of the key factors that could influence Dryden Gold's future.
Okay.
What should investors be paying close attention to in the coming months?
Well, first and foremost, keep a close eye on their drilling results.
Okay.
As we've discussed, exploration success is crucial for driving value in the junior mining sector.
Right. Each new drill hole provides valuable information about the size, grade, and continuity of the gold mineralization. What should investors look for in those results?
Look for consistent, high-grade intercepts over significant widths.
All right.
But it's not just about the numbers. It's also about the geological context.
Okay, so we're looking for both good numbers and a good story.
Exactly.
What about the other exploration activities they have planned for 2024?
Right.
You mentioned things like LiDAR surveys and soil testing.
Exactly. These techniques can help identify subtle features and geochemical anomalies that might point to gold mineralization. Pay attention to how those results align with their existing drilling data and whether they lead to new discoveries.
So it's all about building a more complete picture of the gold potential.
Precisely.
Okay.
And as they gather more data, they'll be able to refine their exploration targets and increase their chances of success.
Okay, so exploration progress is a big one.
It is.
What about external factors that could impact Dryden's future?
Well, the price of gold is obviously a major factor. Gold is a global commodity. And its price can fluctuate significantly based on a variety of economic and geopolitical events. A higher gold price generally makes mining projects more profitable, which can attract investment and boost the value of mining companies.
So a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say.
Exactly. Conversely, a lower gold price can make projects less economic, which can lead to delays or even cancellations.
Okay, so investors should keep an eye on the gold market.
They should.
What else?
Another key factor is the overall investment climate for junior mining companies. These companies often depend on raising capital from investors to fund their exploration activities, and investor sentiment can be fickle.
So Dryden's ability to raise money and advance its projects will be influenced by factors beyond its control.
It will.
Such as commodity prices, interest rates, and the overall health of the global economy.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the regulatory environment. Mining is a heavily regulated industry. And permits and approvals are required at every stage of development.
So a smooth regulatory process is essential for keeping things on track.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any delays or setbacks in the permitting process can add time and expense to a project.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the technical details of Dryden's exploration program to the broader market forces that could shape the company's future. And while there are always risks involved in the junior mining sector, Dryden Gold has a compelling story and a lot of potential.
They do.
I agree. It's a company worth watching closely.
It is.
Now, before we wrap things up,
I
want to ask you one final question.
Okay.
Do you believe Dryden Gold has what it takes to become the next Red Lake?
That's the big question.
It is.
And while it's impossible to predict the future with certainty, I believe Dryden has many of the key ingredients for success.
Okay.
They have a prime location in a proven gold-producing region, a strong technical team, encouraging drill results, a strategic partnership with a major gold company, and a systematic exploration approach that is focused on discovering a large-scale gold system.
Okay, so the potential is definitely there. But as with any investment, it's essential to do your own research, weigh the risks and rewards, and make informed decisions based on your own personal circumstances.
Excellent advice.
That's excellent advice. And on that note,
we're
going to take another quick pause.
All right.
When we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive.
That's good.
With some final thoughts and key takeaways for investors. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
And we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into Dryden Gold.
Okay.
We've explored their ambitious plans, promising drill results, and the intriguing possibility that they could be on track to uncover a gold system as significant as Red Lake.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I think we've provided our listener with a solid understanding of Dryden's potential and the key factors that could drive their success.
Absolutely. But before we send our listener off to do their own research, I want to circle back to one of the main questions we posed at the beginning of this deep dive. What could a Red Lake scale discovery mean for long-term investors in Dryden Gold?
That's the exciting part.
It is.
If Dryden can deliver on its potential and prove up a multi-million-ounce gold deposit, the upside potential for investors could be enormous.
Can you paint a picture for us? What could that look like in a best-case scenario?
Imagine Dryden defining a resource that rivals some of the major gold deposits in Canada. That kind of discovery could attract the attention of major mining companies. Looking to acquire or partner with Dryden, potentially driving up the share price significantly.
So early investors who bought and held the stock
Yeah.
could see substantial gains as the company transitions
Right.
from a junior explorer to a major player in the gold mining industry.
Exactly. And even if they don't get acquired, a large-scale discovery could pave the way for Dryden to develop its own mine, generating significant cash flow and creating long-term value for shareholders.
It's an exciting prospect.
It is.
But it's important to remind our listener that this is all hypothetical.
Right.
There are risks involved in any junior mining investment.
Absolutely. Exploration is inherently uncertain.
Right.
Not every promising project turns into a mine.
Right. So what are some of the key risks that investors should be aware of when considering Dryden Gold?
Well, as we've discussed, one of the main risks is exploration risk.
Okay.
Dryden's future success hinges on their ability to continue finding gold and expanding on their existing discoveries.
Right.
There's always a possibility that future drilling results could disappoint, leading to a decline in the share price.
Okay, so exploration risk is a big one. What else?
Another key risk is commodity price risk.
Okay.
The price of gold is notoriously volatile and can be influenced by a wide range of factors beyond Dryden's control.
Right.
If the gold price were to fall significantly, it could make their projects less economic and impact their ability to raise capital and advance towards production.
Right. It's a reminder that even if they find a lot of gold, it doesn't guarantee success if the price of gold isn't favorable.
Exactly. And then there are the usual risks associated with any junior mining company, such as management risk, financing risk, and regulatory risk.
Can you elaborate on those briefly?
Sure. Management risk refers to the possibility that the management team, despite their current experience, could make poor decisions that harm the company's prospects.
Right.
Financing risk is the risk that Dryden may not be able to raise the capital they need to continue exploration and development. And regulatory risk is the risk of delays or setbacks in the permitting process, which can add time and expense to a project.
Okay, so there are a lot of moving parts and potential pitfalls along the way.
There are. But for investors who are comfortable with these risks and who believe in the potential of Dryden's projects, the rewards could be significant.
All right, so to wrap things up, let's distill this down to some key takeaways for our listener. What are the main points they should keep in mind as they consider Dryden Gold as a potential investment?
I think the key takeaway is that Dryden Gold presents a compelling opportunity for investors seeking exposure to the gold sector.
Right.
They have a lot of things working in their favor. A prime location in a proven gold-producing region.
Right.
A strong technical team. Encouraging drill results. A strategic partnership with a major gold company. And a systematic exploration approach that is focused on discovering a large-scale gold system.
Right. They seem to be checking all the right boxes.
They are, but it's crucial for potential investors to do their own research.
Absolutely.
Weigh the risks and rewards carefully and understand that there are no guarantees in the junior mining sector.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage our listener to consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Excellent advice.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Dryden Gold.
Okay.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I want to thank you for joining us and sharing your expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listener, thank you for tuning in and trusting us to guide you through the complexities of the junior mining world.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope this deep dive has provided you with the knowledge and insights you need to make informed investment decisions. Happy investing.
Take care.